This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Yeah, it's me. I was calling to see what you hung up on me for, bro. You're going to call back. Bye.
17th of November, 2020. This is the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. Joining me on the phone, Jason Vawter, very special guest. How's it going, Jason?
It's going good, buddy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Now, we've had a chance to catch up. We're from the same city. I'm a little bit older than you. Went to the same school. Know the same people roughly from the town we're from, of Coloma, Michigan. And you also, and I've noticed this, I think before I got clean, that you had a problem with substance use, and that was alcohol. And so I kind of was following you and kind of looking up to you. And, you know, that's the thing about recovery. It's like you can be younger, older. It doesn't matter. You know, like if you see somebody doing something good, it's like, hey, I want to do what that guy's doing. And they say that a lot, you know, in AA. But I noticed that you were doing good. And I don't know, a few weeks ago, I think I reached out to you, maybe last week. I was like, well, I haven't had Jason on yet. You know, so I'm like, hey, bro, I was like, why don't you come on the podcast? And you're like, absolutely. So welcome. And I'm glad you agreed to do it today.
Yeah, buddy, it's awesome to get a chance to catch up with you and talk a little bit about this. You know, it's something I'm passionate about. And, you know, like you follow me, I've followed your journey since you got sobered up and noticed with 217 that you were connected with other people that I knew. And so that, you know, that much more interested. And of course, I've had a chance to listen to some podcasts and things like that you've done. So it's really great to be able to join you today.
Now, they have a saying for people. I guess not really a saying, but there's three types of people who are in recovery. The people who don't want to talk about it, the people who do want to talk about it and let everybody know, and then the people that just aren't sure. And I used to be the person, I didn't want anyone to know I had a problem. And I think that kept me stuck actually for a long time. And, you know, being on the radio, it's like, man, people can't know that I have a problem with alcohol, and I just got to hide it. But it wasn't until I decided, well, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna tell the world. I'm gonna start a effing podcast and a website and a company and turn this baby to a nonprofit and let's help people in recovery. Until I was able to do that, you know. But you seem to be like you're kind of the same. Like you're open about it. You're like, yeah, I'm not ashamed to tell people that I've made a good choice to live a better life. Like,
right. Listen. So at first, right, there's this adaptation where you are telling people, hey, I don't want to go out and party, or hey, I can join you, but not if we're going to be around party and whatnot, because I'm doing my thing now. You know, I've always been lucky in that, like, friends and family have been wildly supportive of me, where, you know, in AA, I've many times, and I'm sure you have too, you've heard stories of like the family member that is like, oh, it's not a big deal, we can just have a drink. And I always sit there at that table thinking, oh my God, right? What are we talking about? And like my father always taught me when I was young and getting in trouble and on probation and doing piss tests and all that, my dad would always tell me, Jason, if your friend is willing to get high with you, knowing you can get in trouble or it would hurt your life, that is not your friend. And of course, back then you're like, listen, old man, you don't know shit.
Right.
But as you get older, and especially once you embark on that journey of sobriety, you recognize, okay, now you fully understood what he meant. Because like, I wouldn't try to get one of my friends drunk or get one of my friends high if I thought they could get in trouble, just because why would I do that? Right. So I do talk to people, you know what I mean? I talk to whoever, whenever, anytime, because recovery, I look at it as a lifestyle, right? It's not just, everybody's heard the saying, you know, the dry drunk. I quit drinking, but nothing else changed. And so I'm just miserable without alcohol now instead of miserable and drunk. And I decided when I got sober that I was going to go with a comprehensive approach of not only sobriety, but really embarking on mental health, because I quickly realized that good mental health went a long way to your success within your sobriety.
Yeah, for sure. And that was my big thing for a while too. It was like, at first I was like, well, I just have an alcohol problem. I don't need therapy. I don't need anything like that. And then it turned to quickly like, oh my God, like why am I still drinking? Like, I don't want to drink. This it's miserable. When I pick up this drink, I know what's going to happen, but yet I still drink. Like, it's clearly something's wrong. And so then I was really hoping the doctors would say I was bipolar or there was something wrong with my brain, because then I could make sense of it all. And then, yeah, that makes sense. That's why I drink, because I'm stupid, or something like that. But it takes time. If you've been drinking and partying for so long, it just takes time for the brain to heal. And it's just not easy. Some people can put it down and never touch it again. Like you were saying in those meeting rooms, some people, I go in and they're like, I just stopped drinking and started coming to meetings. And I'm like, so you never went to rehab or nothing? You didn't go to counseling? Nope. And then I start questioning their sobriety. I'm like, maybe you weren't that much of a drunk, man, But that was younger me. Now it's like, now it's just like, I don't care, man. Cool, as long as you're here, do what you need to do for you. It doesn't matter. But back then, early in recovery, I would judge people, I'd be like, man, dude, you don't have a problem. You just hate your wife. You don't have nothing else to do. So listen, that's exactly it. I remember being really young and being forced to go to AA before I ever had an addiction of any kind, right? And I sat there like, what in the hell is wrong with these people? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just can't do it. Like, quit buying this shit. You'll find it really easy to not do it if you won't buy it. Like, it isn't. But then you get into it and you recognize, like, and I was like you, right? So my turning point was I went from working a regular going to the office job to I started managing a transportation company, and I was able to do it from home. And my nightly drinking quickly became, it's 10 o'clock. It's Thursday, slow anyways. What the hell matter? And then that becomes a constant. Like, you just find yourself over there. You don't want to be the 9 a.m. guy, but somehow 9:35 to pick up a fifth of booze is acceptable, even though 9:01 wasn't, right? Like, what the hell is the difference? You're a hot mess of a human being, and you got to get your shit together. And I had the turning point in AA where I was gone for a while, and I came back, and a guy that was always in my meeting, always. One day he had been sober for like 8 years. So I watched him over the course of a couple of years, growing his sobriety, and I was gone for a while, and I come back, and he's like, yeah, I'm so-and-so, and today I'm celebrating 90 days. And I had this like almost fall off my chair moment of, holy hell, he didn't make it? Oh, okay. So like 8 years isn't enough. I got to make sure that I'm cognizant of this importance every day. Just remind myself. And like, I don't have a risk of drinking today. I would tell you it would be shocking to me if I arrived at a decision of, all right, fuck it, let's drink. But you have to also respect the fact that that's always possible, right? You could have that. The guy, one of my favorite guys ever in AA, he always used to say, Jason, you never know which thought will get you drunk. And I always remembered him saying that, and I say it to myself often. That's a good saying, though. And that's
the truth. Because think about it. Did you celebrate? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
That's crazy, man. And I don't know. I mean, I had a kind of a sponsor situation like that where he had some years on him. And then, like, I went to a meeting one time, and he chaired the meeting. And I kind of walked up to him after, and I was like, did I just smell alcohol on him? I was like, he doesn't have the balls to do that. He wouldn't chair an AA meeting. It must be mouthwash. I did that whole thing, which is kind of a funny when people try to use, it's just mouthwash. No, bro. I'm an alcoholic. I know what that smells like.
Right.
I'm not buying the whole mouthwash thing ever. I drank mouthwash before. I didn't smell like that either. So, but I was like, maybe it was just mint. I don't know, because it was minty, and then I started thinking, I was like, man, that is peppermint schnapps, though. But I was like, you know what? He doesn't have the balls to do that. Oh. And then, like, a week later, I get a call from his wife. Hey, have you heard from him? I was like, no, why? Well, he was drinking and took off, and I was like, oh no. So now I can drink, is what I thought. Well, F it. That's an excuse, and if you're not, and
you're looking for one.
Oh man,
just any reason, like whatever's the reason to say, all right, I'm good to go, right? So I have I'm of this belief, right, that it's the hardest time to justify doing anything you shouldn't is the first time. Once you have already justified this situation then what the hell is stopping you from going back to the well and going, well, I already did it on Tuesday. What the hell does it matter? right? For me, so I checked myself into rehab. I wasn't in trouble, blah, blah, blah. I woke up one day and had this epiphany, man, my life sucks. I don't like to live like this, and I don't want to live like this anymore. And I called a guy who is now, we've grown to be like we're his tightest family. But, back then we weren't. But I just happened to pick him out of my phone I don't even know why. Called him and I said, Josh, I want you to know that I am a drunk. And I hate it. I hate myself for it, and I'm going to fix it today. And I checked myself into rehab, and I was there, and I got out, and I was good for a month. And I went to a rehab meeting, or an AA meeting with a girl that I had met in rehab. Went good. We get back to my place. We're sitting in the car, and she just says, man, Jason, I just feel like getting drunk. And I was like, what are you talking about? We just left AA. I don't know what message you heard, but I didn't hear go home and get drunk after the meeting, anytime in that meeting. And she's like, I know, Jason, I just blah, blah, blah. And she regurgitates all her justifications, right? Mm-hmm. And after like 20, 25 minutes of sitting there talking, I had this, screw it. It's just a day. So I got drunk that day. And I didn't go to AA the next day, but I went 2 days later, embarrassed, right? Everybody knows that walk of shame. That's the worst of them all, is to walk in there like, yeah, I thought I had it. Turns out I didn't have anything, right? And I was embarrassed, and I quickly became a drunk again immediately. And like 3.5 months later, I had a conversation with a probation officer, and she talked to me about, she was like, Jason, you have the ability to do anything in the world that you want, and you keep lying to yourself and thinking you can do it and drink. She goes, the quicker you realize that you can't, the better off you're going to be. And whatever that conversation, it clicked. I haven't drank since. February 3rd, 2015. I looked this morning just so I was familiar with my numbers. 5 years, 9 months, and 14 days. And it's crazy that it's like in the blink of an eye. I remember sitting there with a week and a half and hearing guys talk about 5, 6 years going, wow, that seems like this impossible endeavor. And then one day, bang, you're a year. And then you go, whoa, a year already. Wow. And I remind myself by looking at my clean time counter in my phone often. Why? Because I know that if I make a change, I have to watch all of that success immediately turn to a zero. How many days you got? None. Why? Because you're dumb, bro. Quit being dumb.
There's no situation I would like to think that I would be in where I would choose alcohol, like, hey, this is going to make it better. Now, knowing that, we still have that tendency, at least I do, I'll have 2 years next month, and I still, it's back there. I can feel it. And that's when I go to meetings. If I have a hard day, it's like, today I'm not going to drink, but if I leave that back there and don't deal with it, this issue that I'm having or whatever kind of feelings I'm having, I can't leave it alone in there. That's why I have to go in there and get it and go to some meetings or, talk to a therapist. I have to get that stuff out, because to be cocky and go, oh man, well, I got 2 years next month. I don't even need to think about it. It'll catch up with me, and I'll be sitting in the car with somebody after leaving AA going, you know what? It's just this weekend. And we know how that ends, it just doesn't stop.
It's not, right? It's the old saying that one's too many and a million's not enough, or 1,000's not enough, right? And that's just the truth. It's an interesting dynamic, right? So routines, that's kind of the thing, right? People are inherently afraid to make changes to their routine, no matter how small, especially when they're ingrained like that, right? I drink every day. That change. Now, what's scary about going, I'm not going to be a drunk anymore? Nothing. But for some reason, people will continue living that lie just because it's easier to stay in the current than to make a move. So when I see somebody own it and go, I'm making a move, like, I got so much pride for that person. I don't have to like them, dislike them. Doesn't make any difference. I like seeing that person have that moment. Go, you know what? There's a better way, and let's do this thing. That's how I was, right, when I finally did it, and I embrace it. That's why I talked about going like the comprehensive approach. I see a therapist. I take an antidepressant because I suffer from chronic depression, and I read materials on mental health and things like that so that I can stay above, like you just said, it sits in the back of your mind, and that grows, right? And how is it going to manifest if you don't address it? It could end up being drunk. You could end up developing a workout habit, right? But if you were a drunk before, the likely response is to go to be a drunk again, not to go, well, I'm